Welcome back, guys. So now we're going to talk about kind of further dive into the goals and filters sections, right? The understanding of how people interact with your website. There's only so much data that analytics gives you kind of automatically, right? It's going to be bounce rate, it's going to be time on page rate, and depending on if you have the settings like we set it up, where you have page depth opted into, then you'll see that as well. But there's other parts of just understanding kind of the micro commitments that people are making on pages, like if they're staying on them certain amounts of time, if they are clicking on certain buttons rather than is it the call to action button that's halfway down that's performing better than the one that's all the way at the bottom, right? Am I giving them too much by the time they get to the bottom and then almost outselling them? So that's what this is kind of really about, is more about just getting the goals set up, understanding what kind of information you guys should really set. Also, we're going to import them into Google so we can actually start utilizing them within Google as well, within the Google Ads account. And then we're going to also look at just reviewing them within the dashboard, right? So I'm going to dive back into an example that I've got here. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the SMART goals as well. I wanted to touch on those as well. So, basically one of the things that we were looking at previously, right, was at how to basically set up a goal. And you've got your new goal portion in here under the goals, under the view portion, right, of your Google Analytics account. Now, within this, just to kind of refresh, these are the templated goals. They're the pre-configured ones that are going to be like, cart abandons, those kind of things. What I'm talking about is really kind of setting up some of these very customized goals to understand how people are navigating through your website, in a more unique way, understanding what pages are really attractive to them, what kind of content they're reading through as well. And you do that by addressing page depth and addressing time on page as well, right? If you've got a 500 word long form content on the form and you notice that this particular page only has an average duration of 30 seconds, right? Most people aren't going to be able to read through that. So that's what these micro goals are really kind of more about, is understanding. We covered some of the stuff about the thank you page and understanding where they fall off in the page, but this is about actually the utilization inside that page, right? So many websites have multiple forms of content on them. They have multiple forms of contact, and best practice is, really, like, let's say you're an attorney site, right? If you're looking at that particular page, it's going to be something that's going to have the call to action at the top. It's going to have a form fill. It's going to have contact points all throughout that entire page. Even as you scroll down, you're going to be exposed to different types of content, such as videos, such as, email capture points, and such as even case studies and testimonials. So I've pulled up a couple examples here of basically of good, attorney sites, and just kind of pick out of some of the main points that you're looking at, right? Like within this one, it has very strong branding up here, right? It gives a very value point. If you've been hurt, Staver can help, right? Personal injury, gives some 5-star reviews, case results over $3 billion, right? That's a lot of my freaking money, or $3 million. Airline employment. So it gives kind of a case study to give him validation and give him authority. It goes into an additional kind of about us page to build more intention about it. Gives a phone number right here, gives some additional certifications as you're going down the page. But as you see, right, this free consultation, live chat, like it's giving multiple contact points. So if you want to pick up the phone, you can always get somebody on the phone, right? Or you can actually do live chat within the website as well. And those are basically the different options where they're going to give multiple contact points. And you see they even further validate it through testimonials. So you get some of that social validation. And then it's further establishing kind of, what we do, what we can help with, the different things we do, like car accidents, truck accidents. So as it goes down and it proceeds down the page, it's leading that customer down the page. And in order to build value so that at the bottom, right, then you give a contact form, right, where you get their name, email address, or phone number. It's more information where they actually have some data on them, but they're building all of this value as it goes down. And one thing you want to really look at as you see this is somebody actually filling out this information, right? Or are they actually taking more time to go down through here and look at this particular contact form, right? And those kind of analysis is really what Google Analytics is really valuable for you to really understand if you're overselling your product, if you're underselling your product, right? What information is value to your particular target demographic? And these basically, like the page depth and the time on page information and these goals are going to be how you're going to analyze that, right? And as we go back to this, we'll just use this, right? So collateral growth page. Now I'm going to define this as a different set of goals. I'm going to do this as the third set, right? So we're going to do a duration. We're going to hit continue. So you saw how long it took me to kind of even do an explanation of that page, right? So more than likely for people to get all the way down to the bottom, it's going to take about 3 minutes, right? Or at least 2 minutes. So if we throw that, and if you look at my page even, right? Where we're looking at collateral growth, right? There's a lot of information on there, right? They're going to read this, talk about all about what we do. We're going, what our services are, what we can help you with, lead gen. They're going to take some time to do this. Check out exciting projects that we're talking about, even what services we specialize in, some testimonials, and it's going to give you all the way down to the contact information, right? So for us, like for our landing page, if somebody's on that homepage for 2 minutes, that means they're reading all of that contact. And then ultimately as well, if they complete the form, then at the bottom, like we're going to know, and you can tie these two goals together, right? We're going to know that the entire form is it's more valuable, right? Now, if we all of a sudden we notice that it's not hitting this goal very often and people are still contacting us, then we know that that information isn't providing enough value, or we've provided enough value beforehand. So there's some other analysis that you have to do, but you have to kind of figure out these baselines and to figure out exactly what that utilization is on your website and what content is going to be appealing. And it's really determined by how much time people are spending on it and how far they're scrolling down on pages, and then how many pages they're looking at as well. So to put this goal in here, right, we've got the goal set up, we've named it in here, we've put a duration in here now as far as the goal detail. I'm not going to put a value on it because they haven't made any commitments, right? This is just me understanding how they're utilizing my website. So if we hit verify goal, it'll tell me this goal would have had a 4.5 conversion rate based on your data from the past 7 days, right? And those kind of information is what you're going to look at whenever you go back to the reporting. And we'll go back to the home dashboard here. And just like I told you in the report, a lot of the time that I'm going to be spending in analytics is going to be on this acquisition page, right? So as we go back to the channels, go back to acquisition, then I can click on channels for look at all my traffic. I can look at source medium to see, if it's coming mostly from a particular network, whether direct, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, stuff like that, right? This is where my traffic has been coming from in the last, 7 days. But if you see up here as well, like this is going to be the summary. So this is everything all together. I'll downsize me a little bit over here. This is going to be all users, new users, sessions, your bounce rate. Again, like we've talked about, this is everybody that's hit it, right? This is new users. So there's 12 people that have visited the site that went to it that were probably not me, right? The bounce rate, 77%. It's freaking high. We got to get that down. Mostly probably because I had a upcoming soon screen there for a long time. Page sessions, all right, we've got 1.6 pages, so they're really only looking at a couple pages. Duration, 39 seconds. So there's definitely some stuff that I can improve on here, and that's the analysis that I'm really going to look at, right? And with us launching just here in the next about 7 days, or next Monday on the, what would that be? The 24th, then we are going to, probably see these stats go up a lot more. But going back to what the point of the lesson is, right, is what are these stats on these particular goals that I'm trying to track? Now, the last one that we put in here was this goal set 3. So if we click on that, then it's going to filter down all of the metrics that are just according to the goal set 3, right? People that actually spent 3 minutes on the page. So you see, this takes into account all the users that hit the page. This was all the sessions that were in there of all users. And goal conversion rate, 0. So nobody has spent 3 minutes on any one page within our site yet. So that's where you're going to be able to go back and look at some of these e-commerce goals as well. Right? This is going to be actual conversions, as you see here. e-commerce conversion rate, your per session value, and it breaks it down to an individual value per user session, right? So basically 22 divided whatever the dollar amount would be in here. Now, to go back as well, there's one other set of goals. We've talked about so far setting up these custom goals and the templated goals that are available to you, right? So there's one other set of goals called these SMART goals. And SMART goals are going to be, it's more of a dynamic kind of goal set that Google puts in here as far as people that are just visiting your pages, how they're operating through. There's, the goal description, there's not really a whole lot you can do with it. The edit, import SMART goals into your Google Ads is about all we can do, right? So the SMART goals are going to be basically what Google feels are high utilization, right? So if they land on your page and they, go through all the way and they complete a contact form fill out, then that's going to be a SMART goal, right? They're specific, measurable, attainable, repeatable, and trackable, right? Is how they are. So that's what SMART goals are considered within the Google world. They're something that it'll start getting you data, but it's not something I would necessarily recommend really doing a lot of optimization around your SMART goals, because it just doesn't, when you're talking about looking at the SMART goals, they're not always going to be aligned with stuff that is actually revenue-based driven, right? It's going to be stuff that is going to be around engagement, around interactions within the particular buttons on the pages, putting in information within contact forms. It's not always tied back to a purchase, right? As you can see within the completed data, right? We've got purchase completed, but SMART goals was over 400. Right? But SMART goals are going to break down into a lot of the stuff we've spoken about so far, right? About time on page, which pages got the most kind of page depth views. And it's going to be more of a combined aggregate of all of those goals to start getting you some data to optimize. But, if we construct this right, and we've created the AdWords account, the Google Ads account, like we've been trained so far, and we've been talking about, then you shouldn't have any problem following that, front loading some good amount of budget and being able to really show some good actionable metrics within the first, 30 days or so that you can really dive into that stuff. Right? So as we get going into the SMART goals and then more of the analytics, right, you're going to be able to really understand how the SMART goals are interpreted to the overall experience in the site, and just understanding how they're more of a data driver rather than, something to really focus on, where these individual goals that you're really, really trying to set and understand at a micro level are something much more to focus on. Then the last actual thing that we need to cover is getting these goals actually into your account, right? So once you've set them up, then all you have to do basically is go ahead and go into the tools actions, and then you're going to go into the Google Analytics part, right? Again, we need to just make sure that we're linked here. Okay, so we validated that we're still linked. Now we go into conversions. And then from that point, what you're going to do is hit the plus symbol here, do import goals, and you're going to go to Google Analytics. Now, there's other things that you can import from, like Firebase for app-related stuff, third-party app analytics if you're using Adobe Analytics, right? If you're really high level up there. You've got Salesforce or some other CRM data, right? But you can just use Google Analytics right now, and we'll go ahead and hit continue. And see, it's going to pull in all of these different goals that we have in here, right? Now we can select individual ones that we want to pull in, or again, you can just select them all. And this is going to pull these goal sets and the variables that you've designed within the system into your Google Ads system or your Google Ads dashboard. And it's going to be able to take that real-time data and analyze it here. And it's much better to have the goals imported directly into the Google Ads system rather than trying to look at them directly within Google Analytics, because there's going to be a greater delay if they're not imported into the Google Ads dashboard, right? So that's kind of the final piece in setting up the goals within the analytics system. And then you're going to be able to watch the data within your analytics system and kind of see these variables change, right? Where within the AdWords system, we don't really have as much capability to do customization or as much stacking of variables within the goal sets, right? The conversions are a little bit more simple within Google Ads. So this is going to give us a greater ability in understanding exactly what's happening on site to really tie it in to what we're doing in our efforts within Google Ads and make sure we're having that seamless, that seamless interaction where it's really increasing the value. It's lowering our cost per acquisition. Always it's increasing our conversion rate and always putting more money back in our pocket by making sure we have a true visibility of everything within our ad system, our spend. So we have true transparency to make sure we can track everything and watch these conversions just go through the roof. So I'm going to see you in the next video as we dive deeper into analytics and how we analyze this stuff to make sure we're really tracking and understanding exactly where our positions are and what's really profitable to our company. We'll talk to you then.